Everybody, thank you all very much for coming back tonight. Welcome back to the Pigsty. We tonight have been very lucky to have Jenna Belk from the ACA. I'm sure everybody knows who the ACA is. And if you don't, you just need to know who Jenna is. So Jenna, if you just want to give a wee roundup, let everybody know who you are and where they can find you.
Okay, I am on the Atheist Experience now, which is one of the most well-known, I would say, atheist shows that I've heard of. So it's exciting, and it's an honor to be on there. Probably on about once a month. And I'm also on Godless Bitches. We started a third reboot of that with a couple of us. And I also was inspired to start my own show. And so I've created a show called Atheist under my channel, which is just my name, Jenna Belk. And I'm trying to promote a balanced atheist perspective, because when I deconverted from Catholicism, I thought, oh, okay, so this is going to be the opposite of everything that I knew when I grew up, right? So I thought everybody would just be balanced and everything. No, it turns out there are extremist atheists, and I didn't expect that. So I decided that I wanted to promote a more level and balanced perspective and try to bring the two worlds together, so that theists and atheists can actually talk things out.
Yes.
And not just make this two sides and make this like a war or something,
Well, that's what we're trying to go for here as well. We try to get, I have a Christian coming on next Sunday, and we try to have different conversations about different things. And as you say, build the bridges. It is all about building the bridges, because we end up just being as bad as them. And whenever I started off here, there was a few, I can't even remember what they are now because people have learnt, but certain phrases and stuff like that, like religiotards and stuff like that, I just shut it down as quickly from an atheist side as we would from the Christian side, because it's fucking boring as heck. Nobody wants to hear that, like.
Well, it's hard because there are times where we need to use humor for this, because this is just a very stressful subject and we spend a lot of time on it. And so amongst ourselves, I feel like we have to have some kind of place where we can make some kind of jokes, because if you just take everything so seriously, it's a little hard to handle.
Well, everything that you just said, I forgot to unmute you in OBS, Jenna, so nobody heard a goddamn thing.
That's okay.
So Jenna, yeah, she's on lots of shows on the ACA, and she used to be Catholic, and yeah, we missed all that, sorry. But you're living, I assume, then in Austin, being around and on the ACA and all. Did you originally come from there, or did you move there for the show, or...?
No, I grew up in rural Bible Belt, town of about 100 people. So I moved away, and then I came back to Austin in like 2011 because I have a lot of family around here. And so I tried to get more involved in religion and my family here. And then when that didn't work out, I looked for other things, and then I discovered that there aren't as many answers as I thought there were.
Well, no, there's not. And the thing is, whenever you're in the Christian side, it's when you hit a brick wall or you hit something you don't understand, it's usually you don't ask or God did it.
Yep.
When you move over to the atheist side, the skeptic side, it can be difficult to come to terms with the fact that I don't know. But
because you're almost ridiculed when you say I don't know in that kind of environment.
Exactly, yeah. And there's nothing wrong with saying I don't know, or things can change. Like, you base everything in scientism. Scientism has changed so many times over the years, but it's like, yeah, that's a prerequisite. It's part of what it is. Would you have preferred that we stayed in the 1700s? You're on the internet. You've got a mobile phone. Shut up.
You're right. Yeah.
No, go on ahead. Sorry.
I don't know. I do you want me to kind of go over a little bit, just kind of summarize what I had talked about earlier?
Do that there. Yes.
Yeah. So basically, I deconverted from Catholicism and came to the ACA very quickly because I found out that I was desperate for answers, because I thought that there was like this book of answers and I wanted to find it. And when I went to the ACA, they invited me to be on the Atheist Experience and Godless Bitches 3. We did a third reboot with some new people. And I started my own show called Atheist because I want to promote a more balanced atheist perspective rather than
this extremist atheist perspective that I've been exposed to that I didn't think it would exist. So.
No, well, as I say, that's what we're trying to build here. We're trying to get better and do that and reach out. Because it is, at the end of the day, we're going to create echo chambers. Nobody wants to create echo chambers, and it gets boring. It's a hell of a lot more fun to surround yourself with people that disagree with you. It is. Yeah, it's more fun. It's a lot more fun. Like, did you start whenever you went and joined the ACA? Did you start in the back room or in the behind the scenes or answering calls?
Yeah.
And got a wee itch for it?
Yeah, no, the first day I went, actually, I think was a Sunday, because I think Talk Heathen was right about to start, and they didn't have a call screener. And they're like, hey, you want a call screen?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, totally. I want to help. Cool. So they taught me how to do it. And they just said, okay, say this and do this. And I call screened. And there was actually a guy named Frode who had called back for the second time. And I put him through. I screened his call. And then they took it. And then he said that he was, he had called once before. He was still kind of questioning. He had some questions. And then later on, I found out that he had called back a third time to say that he had been fully deconverted. Like he lost the religion, and it was just this big celebration. And I was like, oh my God, even though the part that I had was like minuscule, I had a part in that.
Yeah.
And that was like, oh my God, I need to do more of this. So from that was like in December or November, I think. And so after the holidays, I decided January, I'm going to come up here every Thursday and I'm going to volunteer. So I did. I call screened for secular sexuality for a couple months. And then I think in March, they invited me to be on secular sexuality as a guest. And so that was really exciting. And I did that, I think, 2 or 3 times. And then nonprofits. So one day, it was a Wednesday, I was just kind of hanging out at the ACA, and nonprofits was about to go on. And Jamie was supposed to be on the show, but he was kind of dealing with some background scenes because he was the president at the time.
Yeah. And
so he was like, hey, you've been on shows before, would you mind kind of filling in for me today? And I was like, yeah, totally. Sure. Okay. So I got on, and it turned out Matt was there, and he had caught some of the end of it. And he just said that he wanted me to be on AXP. Mm-hmm. So he messaged me that next week. He's like, hey, do you want to be on AXP? And I said, yeah, totally. Like, we'll take a couple of months and we'll study and, I'll learn a bunch of things first, right? He goes, yeah, how about Sunday? Okay. So when people, seem to think that you take like a course and then you can be on the Atheist Experience, it's not, there's nothing to teach you. That's the whole thing about atheism, is it's the absence of a religion. So they don't have to teach me anything. No,
and every one of us is different. That's the thing. There's no dogmatic. You don't have to sit down and read a book. Every single person has a different way to put across, which is what I like about the ACA, because you've got the different shows, as you mentioned, like Sexual to Secularity, and you've got the 2 big ones, which would be Talk Heathen and AXP. And I personally like the differences between them. When I first come in, Matt may never come on the show now after saying this, but I loved AXP, but now I would watch more Talk Heathen. I would.
Well, it's different. Yeah,
because they're totally different shows, and you can see that Matt may be a wee bit aggressive when he comes across people, but he does it every single fucking day. And why waste your time with people, Eric is an awful lot nicer. He has a softer outer edge, if so to speak, and it can bring the conversation going a wee bit more. And you can have a longer conversation, a more deeper conversation with Eric to try and flush out your problems and what you get to. And maybe with Matt, and it gets to it, it's like, no, you're wrong. Here's the reason. Fuck off.
Well, so I think that Matt's approach was, at least for me, when I was deconverting, because he was a huge part of mine as well. Mm-hmm. He's a good person to kind of hammer it down to where you're like, oh, well, what about this? And then he puts it just very bluntly and succinctly. And it's just like, oh. So it just he is just very clarifying for people just out of religion that have all of these questions. Mm-hmm. But I would say that Talk Heathen and Eric is, well, like I said, the third time this guy called Frode, he was deconverted. Like it was, he'd done something, Oh,
well, I definitely have an agreement with that. Anybody who's a regular to the channel will know I am blunt. I don't fuck
Yeah.
about. I say it as I say it. If you're an asshole, I'm going to tell you you're an asshole. That's just,
Yeah.
and I think it's the best way to go through life. So when you're coming out of religion, especially from that, you may be wavering back and forth. Having someone to say these things to you with the confidence and the background that Matt would have behind him. In this atmosphere, I hate using this, but he is an appointed authority. And, you know, and he's right in what he says in a lot of things. So it does give that helping hand to give someone a kick up the arse. And when it comes to getting you on the channel and doing something like that, again, a kick up the arse, what are you going to do? You're going to hem and ha and go, get onto the show. Sit in front of the camera. And it's the only way to get over your fear.
Yeah.
You've now got hooked, you know.
Yes. Now I don't think there's any stopping me. I think me and Matt actually work really well together because I kind of try to take a little bit more of the kinder, more deep approach, and then he's got the hammer. So
yeah.
Actually, it was really funny. There was one comment that I'd read that said he's the hammer and I'm the scalpel. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like.
No. I can see that. Yeah, you can see that. And sometimes the hammer does put the nails in, but without the scalpel, there's no modern medicine.
Yeah.
You have to take these two approaches. What your new show? I tried to pronounce it. What is the pronunciation of it?
So the stasis meaning balance. So it's atheist stasis.
Atheist stasis. There we go. Mm-hmm. And it's like an interview show on your own channel, or?
So what I do, actually, I have very exciting news, by the way. It's a show where I invite people on, and actually, I'm going to have my best friend on, and she's a Christian at one point. So it's anybody can really be on. But my thing is, with Matt helping hammer things down for me, I found out there was a lot more things that I still needed to look at. You know, not just logic, but art, philosophy.
Yes.
Science. You know, there's all these different things that I have to readdress because I had been taught these things in a certain way for a certain world that it turns out I don't live in. So for example, let's see. Oh, evolution. I believed in evolution as a Catholic, but when I determined what was true or not, I went with what felt right. And so I thought that it made sense that, well, okay, so Adam and Eve were just apes.
Right?
I'm
hoping you're going somewhere, okay?
I mean, to me, it's ludicrous now that I would just fill in the blanks with whatever I wanted. Yeah. And then that's just what I believed. And it's like, I can't believe I've actually lived my life like that up until this point. It's kind of scary. And so many people still are.
Yeah, but you see, a lot of that boils down to the way, and not even just raised in a Catholic or religious background, it's the way that we're actually taught to learn things. You know, there is very, very little critical thinking and logical thinking in schools. People are not taught to actually think for themselves. So that is a standard. What you say is a standard response. You have what the colloquial version of what evolution is out in the public that everybody just sort of accepts, and we don't ask enough questions because it freaks out with our God and it doesn't make, so we'll just know enough to just get by and say, yes, I believe in it. But you do have to ask these questions and get past the general information that's out there to find out what the actual details of it is. And people don't do that now. They leave school, worst years of my life, absolutely hated it, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to go get money and I'm getting a house. And
be a mom.
Be a mom. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought, I don't need all that science stuff. What am I going to do with it? You know?
Yeah, I hate it when people say, what do you need maths for?
Right. Oh my God. It's like math is so much. So I'm kind of saving math for last because it is such a big, like it applies to everything.
Yes. Everything.
And it's beautiful. So I hated math because I don't think I had very good teachers, but I had one class. I had a geometry class. The teacher was amazing. And she prepped us. Like she would be like, oh, we're going to do proofs and just accept it. You're going to hate it. Right. And she just kind of prepped us like that. Deal with it. We're going to get through it. You'll be fine. Just deal with it. Right. And then we did it. And I'm like, oh, this is fun. It's like, it's kind of like a puzzle, you know, like there's all these, you can't do this and you can do this. It's very black and white. So for me, in my extremist thinking, I was like, this is very clear, you know? So as a kid, I was a very argumentative person.
Very
and
fun
people
to
just,
get. I'm sure your parents loved you.
oh, that's a thing. Oh, well, so the thing is, what I figured out is that it's just nothing made sense to me. There were so many things that just confused the crap out of me. And so I would fight and argue until you could change my mind. And if you can't change my mind, then I'm right.
That
you know?
Okay, yeah, stubborn.
Yeah. Well, but what else did I have to go off of?
Yeah.
You know, who else am I going to believe but me?
Well, that's a good way to put it, because a lot of people, as I said earlier, points of authority, you know, and people believe points of authority. And
Yeah.
that's why I think that we have an outrage or an outburst of anti-vaxxers and flat earthers, because you've got a dickhead on YouTube that has a point of authority telling people it's true. So they accept it with what little evidence they have, not knowing to push past this stupid stuff that they put forward that's probably not evidence. It's just,
Well, for example, there was the HPV shot was pretty new. I think I was a senior in high school, and we went to the doctor and we got the first round of shots, me and my sisters. And then my dad found out about it, and he was like, no, don't do the next round. This is bad. I did research on it. All these people are dying from it. Just don't do it. And so we didn't. Dad said not to.
Yeah.
You know? What else are you going to do?
Yeah, well, no, I have to say over here in the UK, it is, you know, especially as we mentioned before the show about Northern Ireland, it's more cultural. You know, we define ourselves by Protestant and Catholic, but it doesn't boil down to what church you go to. It boils down to who you vote for over anything else. Like, and I don't think we have...
I would say it's a little bit like that here.
We don't get an awful lot of anti-vaxxers. I'm not going to say there's none, because there's probably few fucking idiots out there. But when it comes to the fundamentalists and things like that, we don't... You know, we are lucky enough in that retrospect. My wee girl has got every fucking injection going. And yeah, she should.
Yeah.
Especially now in
Yeah,
the situation.
I got the flu shot for the first time last year.
How is the COVID, since we're talking about that, how is that affecting you?
I'm very, very lucky. I found out that a lot of my anxiety comes from social anxiety. So I've learned about myself in a very important way. My husband is still, he has an essential job, so he's still working. And I am lucky enough to be able to work from home. So our income hasn't changed.
Yeah.
And I don't have to go anywhere. You know, I kind of like that.
Yeah, no, I know it's okay to be like that. I'm sort of something in a similar situation where a lot of us, you know, a lot of my main friends are on the internet. So I don't have to go to work and they're across the world. So time zones are better now. Things are better off. And being in the UK, we've actually got 80% of our wages covered. So I don't have to worry about putting food on the table or losing my job or anything like that. So, you know, is it okay to say I'm enjoying this? It's fun.
I mean,
you know, there's people
that's
obviously.
legitimate.
Yeah, there's obviously, you know, we can be aware of everything that's going on and things are bad
Right.
and this, that, and the other. But from a personal perspective with me, and, you know, I recently have met a person, and this last month has just been the happiest I've been in absolutely fucking ages. So the COVID will always be remembered as the happiest time for me.
Aw, well, that's interesting. Maybe so. That's the thing, is I think that we're going to learn from this as a world. Hopefully, maybe we can figure out more people can work remotely than have been. You know, and we have almost every family in America, you have a double income household.
Yeah.
You know, you need it. It's expensive. And so if one person or both can work from home, I just think we would be able to take better care of our families. And I think that's where our problems start.
Yeah, there's a distancing that has arrived now between, you know, the parents and the children, especially with the internet and things like that there. Because, you know, back in the day, oh, we're not going to use back in when the good times and all that crack. But when I was growing up, there was no internet, there was no smartphones. Everybody sat down at the dinner table, had their dinner at the dinner table.
Yeah, me too.
Because there was, it's not that people insisted upon it. It's just there wasn't really any distract. You're up the stairs in your room playing with your toys, come down the stairs and have dinner with everybody. But now even at the dinner table, people are on their phones, and even though you're right beside them, they're so far away. Now, the internet has opened the world up and made it smaller, but it's increased the distance between the person and the person sitting beside you.
Yeah. I just realized something is that I haven't heard the word bored in a very long time. People don't get bored anymore.
No, probably frustrated.
Frustrated, overwhelmed,
Upset.
anxious, all this stuff. But people don't go, oh, I'm so bored.
Yeah, they're looking at tension as well now, and our bodies are starting to change to it as well. Certain kids, if they don't get enough likes on Facebook, they feel depressed, and I could not envision being depressed at 11 and 12 and 13. I was too busy running around getting dirty. It's being outside and out there, and you have a lot of kids now, which obviously will happen as society moves on and technology moves on. Kids will become smarter at a younger age. Their brains will develop at a younger age. But, still, you're 10 and 11. You should be running around, having fun with your friends, not worrying about likes on Facebook and getting depressed. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Well, I think each person's different, and each kid is different. And I just think, I don't know. I'm learning a lot.
My wee girl throws a fit when you take her inside. It's like it's raining. You have to go, I don't want to go. When she comes up now, we live apart, and again with the rules that we have in the country here, we are allowed to travel for family, so I still get to see her 3 days a week, which is great. And she will come up and she spends the weekend here, and we get to go down to the river. And there's a wee local river under the bridge down there, and we've been building a dam and stuff and getting stones and like a wee pool and everything. And I take the dog down with me, and the dog I would let off the lead because it's grand. It's a wee sort of segmented area, it's raised up. We don't go to the actual part where you're supposed to. We go down a wee ditch to a wee secret area. And I let the dog
that's what we do.
Yeah. Let the dog off, turn around, dog's gone. Fucking dog's gone, right? So I don't think, and I run after the dog to go and see where he is. He's up at the frickin' top of the hill talking to some old couple with their dogs. So I get him and come down. Where's the frickin' daughter? The daughter's out in the stepping stones in the middle of the river going, hi, Daddy. She's 3. She's fucking 3. I was like, get the fuck with it. I'm okay. She's lying down. It's like, oh my God. She's no fear. We girls got no fear at all.
Oh, wow.
2 seconds and you're gone. And she's like, I'm just playing in the water. Now she knows to lie on her belly. She's lying on her belly. She won't walk out she knows to crawl out. But yeah. Oh,
wow.
No fear.
She's smart.
Oh, well,
She's smart.
I always take her outside. She's always been outside with me, and even cutting the trees down in the garden and stuff. She has a go at that. I've got a video of her with the bow saw that's twice the size she is, and she's trying to move it back and forth and cut the tree and all.
That's cute.
Oh, no, get them involved with everything. And it is good for their development as well, especially when they're at that young age. Get the drive to be inquisitive in them. Don't...
Well, when you do things around the house, let them help you. Mm-hmm. Don't make them. Well, I don't know. I don't know.
I totally agree with you. I take her to the garage with me, and I turned around one time. She'd lifted an impact wrench and was trying to take the wheels off one of the cars.
Aww.
The weight of the damn thing. She's sitting there with her gloves on. But anyway, enough about me. This is about you.
Oh, no. We're just having a conversation, right?
So you're hoping, would you be hoping to get more involved with the SEA, get seen on screen a wee bit more often? Do you like it where it is at the minute? Just a wee flash every now and again?
I think I do right now. Just because I'm just now trying to figure out how to keep my show going. Because like the first 3 episodes look the same, and then the next 2 episodes look different, but they look the same. And from here on out, they're going to look different again. But hopefully from here on out, they'll look more consistent. So I'm just trying to kind of build that foundation for the show where I can just kind of copy and paste and then just include the interview and just go from there. Mm-hmm. And then kind of learn more about the details and more editing stuff just as I go. And then I'd probably be able to kind of kick it up there. I don't know. It kind of depends.
Yeah, well, it's all the building. You have to build off everything. I started in live chats and then had a wee tiny Discord and then started a channel and didn't show my face. And now I've got a floaty head and hopefully eventually you'll get to see me. But we're working up to it,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
you have to get used to being online, you know, and being and talking in this situation is very strange. I have a friend that was at the house now. He's my friend for 25 years. Was going stir crazy with the whole situation at the minute. So he came up last night and we sat at opposite ends of the room and had a drink. And I says to him, you know, I'd like you to meet, you know, my friends, because these are the people I spend most of the time with. And it was like, it's really weird talking to people on the internet, Robbie, like that. And that's, you know, from someone who doesn't do it. But when you get into it, it's as easy as talking to someone that sits beside you. And you do get it. We have a joke that you get addicted to the live streams. I watch more live streams now than I do watch any edited content.
Nice. That's fun.
You know, always bouncing between someone, because it's the interaction that you get with these people. It's an actual social thing going on. You know, watching an edited video is nice, but the person does no idea who you are. You know, they're just throwing it out. You could have watched every single one of their videos. You could know their favorite color, flower, and all the rest of it, and they have no idea you even exist. At least with the live platform that we have here, people can jump in and out, and if you're up for it afterwards, Jenna, when we usually go an hour, I open it up to my regulars. They come in, and it gives you know, people just from the chat the chance to interact with you know, people of stature like yourself, that, you know, because everybody, we all found the ACA, and you know, you're semi-famous, you're a wee bit, you know, a wee bit famous.
Not yet.
But it's good like that, you know, to give people the opportunity, because it is something that it boosts their confidence ever so slightly. We've small content creators in the community that is like, I hate talking on screen, I'm not going to shill myself, don't ask me questions.
Well, I'm actually finding that more people, it seems like more people in this movement, at least, are pretty active on Twitter and Facebook and chat rooms and things. And it seems like it's actually pretty easy to get a hold of anybody. Like, I know that at first, I didn't spend a lot of time on Facebook messages because there was just so many.
Yeah.
But I've kind of, over time, just kind of gotten through them. And I mean, yes, they're still coming in, but just not quite as fast as when I first was on AXP. And so sometimes somebody will message me and I'll message them back right away. You know, it's like, I'm here. Yeah. You know, we all have accounts, you know, we can talk.
Yeah.
You know, so I've had a lot of conversations, and I've actually made a lot of friends through Facebook from them watching me and having questions, and then we talk and we get to know each other, and it's actually really cool.
Yeah, it was very, like, you know, from a personal experience, it was quite easy to reach out to you. I seen you in Neil's, thought you were cool, thought you made a good interview, sent you a message, we organised a date. Now, the date was 6 weeks because I had a couple of things and then the dates didn't suit, and we haven't really spoken since then to the other day. And it was like, you still on for Sunday? Fucking sure, still on for Sunday. You reached out to me, dead simple, very easy. The digital world does give that opportunity to people. You don't need to know a mobile number and find out where they live. So so you don't need to know their personal information to have that actual contact with them.
Yeah, it's you know, phones are becoming more of a personal item now. Again, you know, it used to be cell phones were just phones. And then now we're doing, you know, we're getting laptops and iPads, and we're doing more stuff so that phones can be phones again. Yeah,
the ability, like, a phone is a mobile phone, but like right now, you know, I could, if I wanted to, I could WhatsApp the girlfriend, I could StreamYard the girlfriend, I could Twitter her, I could, you know, FaceTime, see her in a live chat. You know, there's maybe 6 different ways of contacting her, rather than what it used to be, just you had to phone the house phone. Oh shit, they're not there. And you have to wait, leave a message. Even before that, no messages or nothing. Like, you know, you run to the phone and you don't answer, and you're like, hello, and you get the dial tone, you're like, I don't even know who phoned me. Who phoned me? Who wanted me? You know? Yeah. And now you see their name and you're like, oh, fuck, I don't want to talk to that prick. Silent.
Oh, yeah, I remember caller ID.
Yeah.
Ooh, caller ID. We can know who it is before we answer.
Oh, and the tricks with the dial-up, you know, if you're ringing somebody when they were on dial-up and that you could hear the noise in the background, if you rang them 3 times, it would interrupt their dial-up so they would know somebody's phoning the house.
You know what's funny is, so I'm, oh my God, I always forget how old I am. I'm 28.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am, I think, mid to younger millennial. But I think where I grew up puts me kind of in a generation like where my environment growing up made me like an older millennial I don't know if that makes any sense, because it was rural. We were behind on technology. So
I totally get what you're saying. Yeah.
About 10 years. So it's like my husband's 7 years older than me, and we'll talk about, oh yeah, remember this? Oh yeah. Remember this? Oh yeah. We're on like the same page.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like my brother, there's only 3 years of difference between us, you know, and he can barely remember a time without the internet. And I would remember us running about the fields and all that there more than he would. But, you know, he's always had the internet. It's always been there. He loved computers when he was growing up because it was a new thing coming out. He'd fucking C++ up on his fucking bookshelf from a very young age, you know, and stuff like that. And I've no interest. I'm reading a book or outside making something or doing something like that, you know. And it is just that small difference. And we lived in the same house. With you being rural, that does, as you say, it knocks a good 5-10 years off. Like, especially in America with 100 people in your little town, you're pretty fucking rural.
yeah, I was a family of 9, so we made up about 10%.
Good Catholic family. Good Catholic.
Yes. But it was cool. Like we had a good 2-acre property, and we had some old. It was a 100-year-old house, and in the backyard there were a bunch of barns, and there was a horse barn and a chicken coop, and we would climb on the barns, jump from barn to barn, and climb trees and play with rocks, and so it was fun.
That's the great fun. We learned to
My kids will do that.
Yeah, I think that's why Elena likes being out so much, is because that's what we do. Like, it was my birthday in August, and last
Happy
year,
birthday.
August, you know,
August.
ages away. But anyway, the girlfriend at the time asked me what I wanted to do for my birthday, and I was like, buy the daughter a new set of boots, welly boots, and I'm going to go walk the rivers with her in the childhood forest that I grew up in. And that's what we did for my birthday. And it was just absolute, and they are tiny rivers, so you can walk in them, you know. And she had her new welly boots, and we walked up and just threw stones, and we spent maybe 3 or 4 hours there. And that to me is, you know, it doesn't cost anything, you know. Well, it costs to get into the park, but you know what I mean. It's just, that's a free thing, you know. People now, kids now, I want a fucking game. It's £40. Fuck you. I can spend a week in the forest. Far better. It's
over Christmas, my husband got me a paddleboard, a stand-up paddleboard. And so I've become obsessed. Like I'd say 2 or 3 times a week, I'd probably go out on Lake Austin and paddle, and it's fun. It's so much fun. It's like, it's just, oh my God, it's just mind-blowingly beautiful. Like, it's just lakes, and then there's trees all along the side and sparkling water. I saw a hawk today. I think it was a red-tailed hawk. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
So
that's another thing I've seen with the situation that's going on at the minute. There's a lot of wildlife is starting to push the boundaries and come back, and, you know, it's given them an opportunity for that. And it's definitely bloody needed. The environment now, you know, as I mentioned earlier, like the girlfriend, she's a climate scientist, so I have to listen to that. You know, we're all gonna burn, we're all gonna die. You know, she doesn't speak to me for 2 hours when I burn stuff in the garden. It's like we have to do our bit, and given the environment the opportunity to come back and do that and get a resurgence of life and stuff, it's definitely brilliant, because people spend too much time in cities. I could not live in a city. I hate even going to Belfast. I have been in Amsterdam more times in this last 5 years than I've been in Belfast, and it's only 40 minutes up the road. It's a hateful fucking city. I don't like big cities at all.
I don't like big cities either. Austin's, well, it was smaller. It's growing very quickly, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But right now we're renting a house in a very tree and hilly part of town. We're renting from friends, so we can't really afford this area, but because of them we can. So we're very lucky in that sense. And actually we'd like to buy here, but it's just so expensive. I don't know.
Yeah, that is a lot of thing that can kill people. Is the rent is higher than a mortgage, but it's the down payment to get you started. You know, I'll be 37 this year, and I've been out on my own since I'm 18, and it's only this last 4 years that I've owned a house. You know, so it does take a wee bit of savings and stuff like that, but that's capitalism at its best. You know, it's
right. Yeah.
Do you not own any stocks? Are you not in the stocks?
What's that?
According to Donald Trump, you know, everybody should be in the stock market because the economy is boosting. I don't know why you're not in stocks. You know?
I'm just not even going to say anything about that.
well, we'll dip into it a wee bit. I would assume, considering of your mindset and, watching you in interviews and stuff like that there, I would say you probably aren't a Republican.
I'm not.
No.
But I was a Democrat. Let's see. I was 21 when I was trying to be a youth minister at a Catholic church in town. And right after that, I got a DWI, lost my car, lost my job, lost my apartment. The youth ministry decided that I wasn't exactly a good example for the kids, so...
You're a wee rebel, weren't you?
I guess. And then, I forget where I was going with this. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all right. Brain farts happen all the time.
It happens to me a lot. I'm actually surprised it hasn't happened more often on shows. I think it's happened once on AXP, and it's just really embarrassing. But anyway.
No. Tangent King. This is fine. We all go off in rivers, and before you know it, we come back, and it's like, how the hell did we start up on that? I think Dave's channel was the same. Dave, Critical Cripple in the chat, does a weekly or a daily quiz show, 1 p.m. usually for UK time. And it's a random quiz show. He grabs 4 or 5 people before the show starts, drags them in, and like you'd ask a silly question like, how do you get rid of nips or something? And then people start shouting flamethrowers, and in 20 minutes you're talking about Donald Trump, and it's like, what has this got to do with the question that we started at the start?
Oh, well, that reminds me of what I was talking about. I was talking about the Republican thing. Yeah. So I actually didn't vote for Obama the first time, which embarrasses me. But the second time I did. And so that was when I guess I became a Democrat, but I was actually still a Catholic. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting to me. So I guess I became a little bit more liberal before. Yeah, that makes sense. I had to be exposed to the different ways of thinking to accept that I could change the way I was thinking, I guess.
Well, that's what we were saying about echo chambers. If you surround yourself with people that just agree with you, and then on top of that, you've 2 and 3 generations not only agreeing with you, but actually teaching and reinforcing your ideas,
right,
then from a very young age, you're just going to accept it as, the sky's blue, God exists, and I'm a Catholic, that's the way things are. And you just accept it all at once. But being able to have that, with the politicalness, because it does, religion and politics go together. I don't give a fuck what people say. It is just one of those things, because what you believe will definitely influence on the decisions you make going out in there into the real world. And people say, oh, it's not. No, it doesn't matter. It's true. And I see in America a lot of people like one vote, one rule voters or whatever it's called. It's like, oh, that guy votes he's pro-life, so I'm just going to vote for him. Doesn't matter that he was caught in the back room with this little boy taking lines of coke. He's gonna, and it's down to that. It does come from your core of what you believe to what you actually vote for.
There are quite a few single issue voters in my family.
That's what it is, single issue voters.
Mm-hmm. And it is about abortion. That's basically what it all boils down to for a lot of people, because it's murder. People are being murdered. Actually, my interest in politics and my change from pro-life to pro-choice in August of 2018, that switch happened because Brett Kavanaugh was trying to get onto the Supreme Court.
Oh, I watched that.
And I knew nothing about politics at the time. It just started with all this. So I just started listening to NPR, and I'm listening to Christine Blasey Ford, and I'm relating to her and understanding her story. And I'm really getting frustrated at this guy. And so listening to that, I told my husband, I was like, ooh, I'm going to be a political activist. And he's like, okay. Right. And so I just kind of keep going, doing my thing, and keep trying to study politics and all this. And that's when I started. I just started watching more documentaries, and then I found a documentary called The Inexplicable Universe with Neil deGrasse Tyson narrating or hosting. And I had heard his name before, like I had known of him, and he was familiar when I watched it, but I had never. This was the first time in my life that I'd ever actually listened to like science. And when I was in like 6th grade, there was a point where I became really interested in space and then decided, oh, well, I'm just never going to know. And so I dropped it. And so learning about the inexplicable universe, there were things that he would say like, oh yeah, so 100 years ago, we learned about this. And I was like, 100, what is that? Like, why don't I have any idea what that is? And so more and more that would happen. And I'm like, holy crap. Okay. What else don't I know? So that's when I just started studying everything. And that's how I became an atheist.
Well, I love to learn as well, and the drive to keep educating yourself and keep knowing things is something that the society as a group loses. But on a personal note, mentioning Neil deGrasse Tyson and things like that, I've watched, I have a video on my phone of watching a documentary with the daughter, and she's sitting up on my knee, and the camera pans past the earth, and she just stops and goes, wow. And it's just like, yes, good fucking woman. It's just, yes, you know exactly. Like, I joke with I have a wee bit of a maths background years ago and stuff, and my love for it and physics and things like that, and astrophysics and all would be my main one that I would enjoy. And I always joke that my wee girl's going to grow up and figure out quantum gravity. That's my goal. People say they want her to be the president or the prime minister. No. She's going to get a Nobel Prize in physics for figuring out what quantum gravity is. That's you know, when you have goals for your children.
I have found out, actually, that's funny. I found out I want, after I get everything done in my life, if I live this long, I want to figure out what dark matter is.
That's a goal. You must start
and
now,
dark
though.
Energy.
You must start studying now, though.
I'm studying. I am there. So I'm dabbling. So I've learned that I'm just the kind of learner that I get randomly interested in things.
Yeah.
There's no explaining it. And when I'm interested, I learn it, and that I just learn better that way. I can't spend 3 days in a row learning one thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm just hopping around, and it's interesting because it's connecting things for me. Like, oh, that is the same kind of as this. And it's amazing how, I guess my belief system is changing from that fundamentalism to, what's that word? The opposite of fundamentalism, when it's
nice person.
No, what I mean is, like, so foundational beliefs means that this is how it is, and it's built on that, and it's built on that, and it's built on that.
Yeah.
But then there's another way of having a belief system where instead it's more of a web, where it's like this kind of goes to this, which goes to that, and it's, you know what I mean?
I can visualize it. Yeah. My brain works like that same thing, so I can visualize rather than stacks and bar charts. You're showing me a spider web. Yeah.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, and information works like that. And it is, but I would be similar like that. I would find something, catch my idea, and I would go right down to the very bottom of it until I know what I'm doing and figuring out. Like, as I used earlier with Discord, I started a Discord maybe about a year and a half ago or so, and it's got to the point now, if somebody wants one, I could just make you one in about 2 minutes. It's just
cool.
Hit a few buttons. And there's it there. You know, once you figure out and you get to that point, and then I got to the end of the community that I had built in Discord, there was maybe 9 or 10 of us, and I still wanted to reach out and have more people and talk to more people, so the channel then came about. And I've been very, very lucky to meet people through the channel and the community that we have here. There's at least 5 or 6 people in the community that I couldn't go a day or so without talking to them. I consider them family. Like,
that's funny. I can only have probably, I found I don't like small talk in any way.
Yeah.
I don't like, chatting about.
Do you watch reality TV? Exactly.
No, I never have.
No.
I like watching things that make me, I guess I study things like Law and Order SVU is like my show. I just like the psychology. I like trying to understand, how could somebody do this? How could somebody do that? I want to understand. So I guess that's just how I'm driven.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I was making my dinner today, and like if I was in my mother's house, there could be EastEnders or some soap or something on in the background, which is cooking dinner or watching dinner. It's just noise in the background. I have a 24-hour fucking YouTube channel I have up on, and it's talking about the precession of the North Pole and how the orbit moves around and that's my noise in the background. You know,
that's cool.
Just stuff like that running in the background, because it's all right. It's stuff that you maybe know already. We all know about the simple things and how the orbits work and all that. But every now and again, it's good to get a wee refresher course and go, oh, forgot about that. Or it's good to keep it in the top of your periphery of your knowledge. Like, as a guy who smokes weed, I forget an awful lot of stuff. Like,
yeah. Actually, that's funny because, oh my God, it just happened again. what were you just now talking about?
I was talking about watching a 24-hour thing YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, background.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's the other thing, is that I'm the kind of person that so kind of like you, like I want to get down to the bottom of it. I want to fully understand it before I move on. I can't do that anymore because I have found that I guess it was the way I was raised. I have this extremist way of doing things to where I have to go all the way. And it's been draining me.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of have to jump around a little bit more. And that's another thing that I kind of wanted to bring up on my podcast at some point. I'm going to bring up things like art and things and try and, rabbit holes.
Yeah.
Because they're dangerous. If you obsess over things, that's bad for you.
Yes.
Because I struggle with OCD tendencies too.
Yeah, but you're probably reminding me of myself like a thinker, and if you approach a situation, people are like, right, well, it's going to either go well or it's going to go bad. Where if I'm coming up to the situation, I'm going, well, it's going to go well because of all of these things, and you think about 50 things, or it's going to go bad because of 100 different things, and you've now got 200 thoughts running around your head, and it's a completely different situation.
Yeah, I struggle with really bad anxiety, so... So that's another thing. Keep saying that's another thing.
It's all about you, Jenna. Keep going. No, this is great.
Well, I've found that I struggle with mental health issues, and some of it may be genetic. I know that there are certain things in my family, but studying psychology and being fascinated by psychology first my whole life, I do strongly believe that a lot of it was because of my upbringing. Now, that being said, I do not blame my parents because, again, I've studied and I've learned and I've asked questions, and I believe that I understand pretty well how they both were raised and kind of sort of both their experiences. And I'm like, I understand why you raised me this way, So I don't blame them. I blame the institution that taught them how to raise us because, for example, they were told you're not ever allowed to pull out. You're not ever allowed to wear a condom. You're not,
Yeah.
You're not ever allowed to have an abortion or, day after pill or anything. So the first 5 of us, I'm one of 7 kids. And
again, good Catholic family.
The first 5 of us were born within 5 years.
Yeah, my cousin did that, and her sister did that. It was like a baby making factory for fucking 6 years. There's 9 kids.
A lot of people do that.
Yeah, well, their justification was, not that you need justification for having kids or anything, but it's like, we want a big family, and it's best to have them all now, so the ages are the same. Whenever I'm finished with this guy's t-shirt, I can pass it on to the next one. Toys go down the line, and financially, this, that, and the other. At the end of the day, you still ended up going shopping with your sister, and you have 10 kids to fucking worry about that are screaming and shouting. And
they can't. There's no possible way. I don't believe, having experienced what I experienced, and both of my parents loving me with their entire hearts. I have no doubt that they love me more than anything. That being said, God, I keep brain farting. I don't know why. I'm so sorry.
No, you're We'll bring it back, as I was saying about the cousins and stuff, right? Talking to them now, recently one of them got married, and obviously going with the father for maybe 8 or 9 years or whatever, so they decided they were eventually going to get married. Not that marriage is a big thing now anyway, but they had to get a minder for 2 of their kids because 2 of their kids are very autistic. One of them is 9, non-verbal and violent, and I've never asked this question because you never ask a parent this question, but if I said to her, if you'd have known now that having them 5 kids so close together and 3 of them would have ended up on the autistic scale, would you have, because it's an awful lot of pressure on her. And I know that she loves her kids and she goes through everything for it, but I also see her when she's having her bad days, and like the movies would be, she's sitting in the wardrobe with a glass of wine going, leave me alone,
Yeah.
It can be stressful.
You can't take care of yourself. You can't take care of every kid and give every kid the attention that they need.
Yeah.
Usually you just can't make enough money to support all of them. So you're struggling there. You're just constantly stressed and you just create this stressful environment. And it's just, it's so funny. People would say to me, oh, you have so many siblings. I bet you always have someone to play with. And I was like, no.
No. Like, I grew up in the Troubles over here, as we mentioned, and I know a girl, I've known her pretty much all my life from I was a young age, and due to the Troubles and stuff, she got bullied in school, and she got at the bus stop and got the absolute fuck knocked out of her, kicked and beaten in certain areas, and was told that she would never have kids again. And later on in her life, she met a man, they got married, and by pure shit and chance, they had a kid, which is fantastic. And, she is of the mindset, I'm one, I'm done, I've been blessed, this, that, and the other. That's all I need. Personally, my opinion, I would like 2. I'd like a boy and I'd like a girl. It's like an experiment, See which one does different things. And if I had 2 girls, I'd go again and try and get another boy because I already have a girl, but 3's the limit. After 3, I find when the kids outnumber the parents, that's when it's time to stop. You've only got, there's 2 parents and 2 kids. You've probably got a dog as well, and you're making dinner. That's 4 things to look after. You can only do so much, like.
Yeah. We had 3 dogs. We had a rabbit. We had birds. We had so much stuff going on. Just crazy. Actually,
whenever you married your husband, were you both religious at the time, or have you come through atheism together, or?
No. I still considered myself a Christian at that point, not a Catholic, because there had been one point where my grandma said, my grandpa had told me you can't be a cafeteria Catholic over and over and over again my whole life. And then I had moved in with a guy, moved out, and then decided that I was going to sleep with somebody before I married them, because I'm not going to just marry into something I have no idea what's going on.
You see, again, with the whole sex being put down, marriage is more important, but sex isn't. Sex is a very important part of an intimate relationship, and if you get that wrong...
Well, obviously you can learn from each other, but, it's just, if you hate it, why? But so because of that, I said, well, I believe in all the Catholic stuff, just not this. And you can't be a cafeteria Catholic. And I said, okay, fine, I'm not a Catholic. So I'm a Christian.
Well, according to our friend Dave, you can't actually tell the Catholic Church that you're not a Catholic. They have to release you.
Yes.
Oh, you knew that?
So my dad told me that he couldn't come to the wedding unless I wrote to the bishop in town and got him to sign me out.
Well, there you go. That's official, because Dave only found this out about 2 weeks ago, and we've been winding the Catholics up in our community with it because they didn't fill out the paperwork, but you did.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
No. Fuck that. I don't care.
Fuck them. Yeah, fuck them.
I don't want to go talk to them.
Well, my wee girl is on the birth certificate. She is a Catholic. Her mother
really?
is a Catholic, comes from down south Catholic, so proper Irish, Catholics. And
we were Roman Catholic, kind of similar,
Roman Catholic, the Roman Catholics is the So my wee girl's Catholic, and she's been christened, and she'll go through her confirmation if she wants to. But she's got me for a dad asking all these questions and doing all this stuff. I have no worry about her growing up, and
she'll be fine.
She'll be fine. She'll be fine.
It's Joan of Arc was my confirmation saint, and I since then have learned about Joan of Arc from a historical standpoint versus a religious point of view, and I believe that she may have been schizophrenic, and I don't think that means in and of itself that she's somebody to be revered. You know what I mean? Actually, I don't believe in reverence in general.
Yeah. No, definitely if you read, now I haven't looked in a lot of research about Joan of Arc, but you know, the old movies and the whole context of what goes around in society, yeah, I think there was something wrong with the girl.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad. Like, there was a prophecy that everybody knew there was going to be a virgin who did this, and surprise, surprise, she did that.
Yeah, shockingly enough.
Angels were talking to her. Sorry.
Well, you find that in an awful lot of... I'm not going to say that every single person in the religion that has had something like that has had something wrong with their mind. But if you're going back and you're looking at scripture and things like that, and you're like, well, this happened, and this happened, you can say that's a symptom of this. They are symptoms of this, and probably more probabilistic. You probably had that because the evidence doesn't seem to lean towards the other, you know?
Right, understanding that this is a relatively new concept that we just kind of figured out, you know? And we don't even know if we fully understand it.
No, even in the time that we've grown up, you know, we had ADHD and we had these things that kids have, and now pretty much everything, that sounded really rude, pretty much everything's put on the autistic spectrum. But being autistic and having that spectrum is a different level of knowledge and a different understanding of the conditions that we have now relative to what it was. That's all I'm trying to put across. You know, the names and the conditions that we give kids when we were younger were certain things and tried to be treated in certain ways. But as science moves on, we do rename things, we different categorize things, and we treat them and understand them better.
Yeah, it's interesting how the concept of progressive versus conservative, now that I'm a progressive, I just can't ever believe that I can't believe I was ever a conservative. Like, why would you not want to progress?
Yeah, that's the whole name. You know, it's built into the name, but you don't think of that. Whenever they say progressive, it automatically becomes liberal. It automatically becomes left. It automatically becomes these ideas in their mind.
Yeah. And that's so, okay. Actually, I was taking a shower earlier and this came to me. The concept of assumptions. When I grew up, you know, you're supposed to know this. How you should know that. You should know this. You should know this already. When I do this, that means this. You should know that.
Yeah.
Skeptical community. Oh, you just did this. Are you okay? Questions.
Yes.
You know, less assumptions, more questions, clarifications, communication. Like, why? It's stressful to have to mind read 24/7.
Very much so. When it comes to, again, going back to the relationships and things like that, any sort of relationship is going to be built and work through communication. There's no point in having this going on in your life or that going on in your life and letting it build and stagnate, and then all of a sudden, you know, you've turned to your husband and go, could you hand me that salt, please? What the fuck do you want the salt for? And you're like, holy shit. And then there's a row and things fight, and communication is key, and being able to have that, ask questions, find out about the other person, have that level before you move on, and as you say, sexually as well. Marriage is nice and wonderful, and hopefully someday I will get married, but for me it's not because of the church or what that is, but it's a stature of, look, this person is very important to me and I want to spend the rest of my life with them, and that's the stature I would put on it. Nothing to do with the church at all.
Yeah, actually that's the relationship that I have going on right now. I'm very lucky, but something that, started me on this journey was I had said to a coworker of mine, I don't get angry. And she kind of goes, what? And I was like, is that weird? And she goes, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. I kind of went home and thought about it. I was like, why don't I get angry? And then I started realizing, I do get angry, but I only get angry in very short bursts. Mm-hmm. And then everything is perfect again. Yeah. And what I realized after learning about EQ, emotional intelligence, I had never heard of that before, and it's fascinating. I learned that I had been stuffing all of my feelings and just ignoring any problems that I had. And now that I'm allowing myself to feel everything, it's extremely overwhelming. It's very stressful on a relationship when you completely change to this completely other person, you know? But like you said, communication. When I go crazy, afterward, what happened? You know, how can we prevent that from happening again? We don't know. Okay, I guess we'll try again next time. You know, like, let's just talk about this together instead of separate and stew and just hate each other.
Yeah, the reason I know these things is because of experience. You know, I used to have, I wouldn't say anger problems, but I would do the exact same thing as you. If something annoys me, I don't hold grudges. I just scream, I shout, I lash out. I've punched a concrete wall in front of my mother that I've shattered bones in my hand just to prove that I was angry and for her to leave me alone. And I don't...
And what we do is we say, this is how much I'm hurting myself to show you that that's how much you're hurting me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, I want to be left alone, just go away, this is what you're called. Yeah, exactly. And I don't really have that problem anymore, don't get me wrong, I still have outbursts. It is mainly just towards my fucking mother, because she knows me that long, she still hits my fucking buttons and winds me up.
Oh, of course.
That's what mothers are there for, but I do have emotional outbursts. She calls it Red Robbie. The blinkers go on, there's no talking to me, like blinkers that a horse wears. The blinkers go on, there's no point in talking to him, the best thing you can do is just fuck off and leave him alone. Because he'll get it out of his system and he'll calm down, and then you'll think about these things and you're like, fuck, I reacted, I didn't need to do it that way. And yeah, but we're emotional creatures. That's, you know.
It's so weird because emotions and logic don't go together.
No.
At all.
Definitely not.
It's funny because my husband's a logically driven person. He's very technical, you know, and I'm a very emotionally driven person. So when I'm saying, oh, I'm feeling this, sometimes he's like, well, that just doesn't make logical sense. And I'm like, so?
Yeah, I would be like that. I'd be like, yeah, you know, you're assuming this or you're thinking that, and that's, you know, you're overthinking or whatever. It logically doesn't go down that route, but yeah.
Yeah. But it also helps because there are times where he can say, okay, you know, this is, you're stewing on this and a logical amount of time kind of thing, you know? You're just spending way too much time on this, move on. It's kind of, so that helps too.
No, I don't do that anymore. And as I was explaining with my friend here the other night, because he still, you know, worries about an awful lot of things and has anxiety and stuff like that there. And I'm like, man, it can be quite, not powerful, but freeing. When you tell someone exactly what you think of them, it takes so much weight off your shoulders, because it's not like you have to sit and worry and sit up at night going, well, what if this happened after I said it? And what if this happened after I said it? Because you literally squared up to the person and told them they were a fucking prick. And that was it. And it was done. It was over and done with. You know, and it releases you. It frees you. Personally, at work, I recently moved in this last year to a new depot. And I'm in the same business 20 years. And there's a guy there who's 18 telling me what to do. Because he thinks he knows more. Like, we're on the, you know, he's lower than me, and he's like, you're doing
Oh, he's
this.
not your boss?
Oh, no, he's not my boss. He's lower than me, and he's telling me I'm doing shit wrong. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And he, but you know, when I was doing my training, this is the way I was. I was like, shut the fuck up. And it got to the point where I went to the general manager, and I was like, look, if you don't talk to him, he's going to get me someday where I've been up late streaming some night, and I'm going to split the cunt. And they had a chat with him and all the rest of it. Nothing happened. And it came to the point one day where he was at me, and I told him to shut the fuck up, and he wouldn't. So I grabbed him with the scruff of the neck, pinned him up against the wall, and threatened him with a bar. And we are now quite, I wouldn't say friends, but he buys me breakfast when he goes to the shop now sometimes. It's like, I don't know if he's afraid of me, but we don't have that problem at work anymore, you know. And confrontation, as bad as it was when I explained to the owner of the fucking business, which is, like, we've 100 depots in Ireland. It's the biggest fucking thing. He's, you know, and I was like, look, the guy's doing this, that, and the other, and all the rest of it. And he's like, well, is it good now? And I was like, yeah, it cleared the air. And that's what it can do sometimes with confrontation. I know it's an old school idea, but sometimes when you have a fight with someone or a row with someone and you scream and shout and say everything you feel, it just, it feels good. It's very freeing.
Yeah. Well, I think that it's naturally human to repel weakness. You know, it's evolutionally driven to be strong and seek stronger things, and so when we see somebody who's weak, it's natural, I'm not defending this, but it's natural to be put off. And so when you show that you're not as weak as that person thought you were by confronting them and saying, hey, dude, like, this is not okay. I don't know why you think it is. Then they can say, oh, okay, they're actually not as weak as I thought they were. And they just suddenly get more respect for you.
Yes, that comes with that as well, because you have shown your strength. You've shown that you can stand up for yourself. And, you know, yeah, you know, it's nice to do nice things for people. I spend a lot of my time doing nice things for people, in my opinion, you know, as we discussed before, helping people out and with YouTube or teaching them at Discord, or we've people in the community like that. But when people take advantage of you and then expect you to help, you know, it's like, well, I've done this, that, and the other, and then they get used to it and then take the advantage of you. I don't like that. And there's a big difference between someone offering their help and someone, you know, taking advantage of that help. You have to find that level where you can stand up for yourself and say, this is a bit too much. I need to look after me now. I'll help you when I can. So.
Yeah. I'm learning how to do that. I am terrible at taking care of myself. I hadn't been basically until about a year and a half ago. And so it's interesting. My husband's helping me, and it's interesting because he went through certain things in his teenage years. He was raised with a very logically sound father, and his parents are amazing. And so something he went through in high school, I'm just now going through. And it's not that I'm just that age. It's got nothing to do with age. And that's why I'm very anti-age, assuming something about somebody because of their age.
So if you seen someone say, okay, boomer, you would shout at them?
I think that's a silly, fun thing. But if somebody's being serious, then I'd be like, dude, you actually don't know them.
Yeah, no, I get
that way, you know? Yeah. But I'm behind on certain things. I didn't get certain things that he did because of religion. It all comes down to religion.
Yeah, it really does, because no matter, even if people say we're not religious, you know, even if they're at 10 and 11 and 12 lost their religion, like personally myself and things like that, I am fully aware, like as I said earlier, with the marriage and the connotations of it, you know, what the daughter wants and things like that, and the cultural parties, like having a christening is a good excuse to get the family around that lives 300 mile away. You don't get to spend time with them, you know, so there is good connotations from that. But everybody in the Western world now, I think especially in the Western world, is raised in a religious society. Whether you are religious or not, there is an awful lot of things that have been based on it due to history. And, you know, even with universities in America, you hear fucking fundamentalists saying, oh, there's no education without Christianity. We set up all the big fucking schools. You said all the money and monopolized education. Of course you set up the schools. You know,
apologetics is a legitimate course.
Yeah.
That blows my mind. Like, wait a second. Because I'd always known about apologetics and all that, and I want to study it and everything. And then after God glass is shattered, all of a sudden I'm like, hold on. Universities accept this?
Yeah.
As a legitimate education?
People want to learn how to defend stupid stuff.
I don't know why. I guess I do know why. I do know why. Fear. And you've been told to.
Oh, and it's also justification in their mind as well, and trying to, you know, whenever you're growing up, before you learn all that stuff, you have this idea and you've compartmentalized it across from your science and your all this other things. And as we mentioned earlier, you learn enough to go through it and just accept everything. But when you start to ask these questions, as you say, with fear, you don't want to let go of what you already have believed. So you find justification for it. So you go do these courses, you shout at fucking Aaron Ra and all these other people and tell them they're wrong. And it's your justification for believing what you do. Probably, as you say, down to fear.
Well, actually, my family has told me, several people in my family have told me, it's even more important for you to be a Catholic and not be an atheist because you know better.
I know. It's funny because the Catholics think that they're the real Christians, and most Protestants in America think Catholics aren't real Christians, and it's everybody thinks
the other one's not real. I was told, oh, how do we know ours is the one? And I was told, well, ours is the only one that has never changed.
That's a good thing.
Oh.
Oh.
Yes, it has.
I know. Well, the Catholic Church, accepts evolution and all these things where a lot of ones wouldn't as well. But look, we're dragging it on. We're rambling. Right, I have the after party linked. It's booked. If one of the mods could be very nice and put the link in the chat. I have sent the after party link to Mama, Dave, and Gio all over Twitter. So we've got a few people coming in. So we'll see you back in technically like 2 minutes, but it'll probably be 5. I have to let the dog out.
Real quick. I
Go
forgot
for it,
about my show.
Yes, you were going to get a shill section.
Yes. I have partnered with GCRR, which is the Global Center for Religious Research. It is a research site where you publish papers and you promote religious research. And so on the board, there's some religious people, some atheists, and it's basically trying to study religion from an academic standpoint. So with my show and my passion for all of these different subjects and wanting to learn everything, the president, Darren, has worked with me, and we've set something up to where he wants people to be more involved. And so there's going to be a perk that they get to be interviewed by me on my show, and we get to explore their perspective and my perspective on how it used to be and how it is now. So I'm very, very happy that we're partnering and we're promoting each other. And
yeah, that's great, because I find that it was easier at the start of the channel to get Christians to come on, because as it goes along, I'm obviously an atheist or an agnostic, whatever the hell you want to call it, and I'm not a theist, so I have my opinions. I do find that I come across quite fair. I don't think I'm a nasty person or anything like that, even if you are a Christian. But as the channel goes along and you get an idea, nobody's going to say that this is a Christian channel. It's definitely not a Christian channel. And it can be harder to find Christians to come on to have these chats, because they have the perspective, oh, he's an atheist channel, he obviously thinks these things. Having that base that you can actually partner with them knowing, Jenna Belk, okay, she's this, but she's not a prick. She's not an asshole.
Right.
And having that Christian, organization behind you to give you that, definitely. Yeah, I'm going to tap that as well. I'm going to get you.
Yeah.
It definitely
I'm going to have
is
to
something.
send you links to tag in the bottom if there's.
I had all your links for your channel and your Twitter and everything in the description, but it didn't fucking load. I'll put them in for the after party. I'll make sure they're all in for the after party. But
okay, cool.
On that note, we've got people lining up in the background. So everybody, I appreciate you all coming. Without the viewers, there's no point in doing this without anybody watching. So I really appreciate everybody's time. And on that note, we will oink and out.